My name is Gene Kim, and I've been studying high-performing IT organizations since 1999, and I recently wrote a book called The Phoenix Project, a novel about IT, DevOps, and helping your business win. The Phoenix Project is a novel that was inspired by one of my favorite books on the planet, which is called The Goal by Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt. He's credited as being one of the three founders of the manufacturing movement, the other two being Dr. Deming and the lean manufacturing folks. And this is a novel that was written in the 80s that changed how a generation of plant managers thought about how to run plant operations. And so for 10 years, what we want to do is write the book, that book for IT. The goal was a novel about a plant manager who had to fix his cost and due date issues in 90 days, otherwise they would shut the plant down. And so in the Phoenix Project, our reluctant hero, is a VP of IT operations who has to fix his cost, project due date, security and compliance issues in 90 days, otherwise they all get outsourced. And so the Phoenix Project is really a story about transformation of how Bill Palmer, this reluctant hero, had not only suffers through, I think, what so many enterprises are going through, where development and operations are locked into a decade-long tribal warfare where features aren't getting to market, deployments are taking longer, technical debt is accumulating, and ultimately the organization is losing the marketplace. And so, it describes a transformation that we call DevOps, a set of practices and principles, that show that you can actually get fast feature flow into a market while preserving world-class reliability and stability, and ultimately helping the organization win. So the reason why we wrote the book was to show that there's certain patterns that occur in every organization where dev and ops don't get along, when they are locked in this chronic core conflict where features aren't getting to market, deployments are taking longer, and to show that there is a better way. So DevOps, in many ways, is, I think, an extension of what the Agile movement started 11 years ago. And so the Agile liberation theology was, how do you get away from heavyweight processes? And one of the side effects is that as development started to go deploy more frequently, IT operations became unable to keep up. So in other words, all the work now piled up to the next bottleneck, which is no longer development, but IT operations. And so one of the symptoms of this is that we have extremely painful releases, long deployment cycles, and ultimately features that don't serve the end users and the business needs. So DevOps is the set of practices that I think are now started off that John Allspaw and Paul Hammond described in 2009 about Dev and Ops working together. And back in 2009, they described how at Flickr they were doing 10 deploys a day, which was then a shocking, a startling achievement. And so I think it's this capability that every organization needs, to be able to deploy quickly, safely, so that we can get fast flow features into market while preserving reliability, stability, and security. I think there are a couple of obstacles for DevOps adoption. I think one is the lack of awareness that there's a better way. I think we've been trained, by decades that, releases and deployments hurt, right? We almost have this learned behavior that, when we do a marketing release of a feature, clear the calendar because we know it's going to be painful, that we're going to be working all weekend if we're lucky, right? And we might be working for weeks, trying to finish the deployment. So I think, the not knowing that there's a better way is certainly one of them. And I think, that's one of the, was our objective in describing in the Phoenix Project, was describe the downward spiral that happens in almost every IT organization, and also describe what transformation looks like. One of my top aha moments that I've had in my DevOps journey happened right around here. It was working with a gentleman named Eric Passmore. At that point, he was the global SVP of engineering for AOL. And he shared with me this aha moment that he had, where he said, our inability to upgrade the production kernels from 2.4 to 2.6 for 9 months, was like having a code freeze for development for 9 months. In other words, the code was ready to go, but they couldn't get it to the customers. And he shared with me this moment where he said, that's not an ops problem. That's not even a development problem. That's a business problem. Because of our inability to get to market, we could do X, Y, and Z. And in that moment, it helped me understand that, it helped elevate the problem statement where, this is something that if we could solve this problem, we're not only solving an ops or a dev problem, we're solving our boss's problem and our boss's biggest problem. So in that moment, I think, the urgency of, DevOps as a critical business enabler just instantly became clear.